This week I've got a few movies, and I'm going to start off with Bohemian Rhapsody, which is, of course, the Queen biopic film. And look, who doesn't love Queen's music, right? Like, Queen is such good music to sing along to. It's great karaoke music. You know, it's very, like, engaging. And so the good thing about Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, is that it focuses a lot on the music. The bad thing is the plot bits that string it together in between, not so great. So they cast Rami Malek as Freddie Mercury, and, you know, I gotta say, visually, very much looks like Freddie Mercury. They also give him fake teeth to be, you know, Freddie Mercury-esque, and those got real old real fast. I was probably done with that part of the performance by 15 minutes in. I was like, okay, we get it. You have an overbite. There are some other questionable things that, you know, I don't want to call it like a revisionist history, but I do know that the actual band members were very much involved, and I feel like they wanted to kind of gloss over maybe some of the rougher parts of their career. There's a lot of focus on Freddie Mercury and Mary Austin's relationship, and she's being played by Lucy Boynton in this. And it's like, look, we all know that Freddie Mercury was a gay icon. Like, you know, yes, sexuality was like its own thing at the time, but the fact that they're like focusing on his one straight relationship is very confusing. And a friend pointed out, they're like, yeah, they make it feel like being gay is like dirty in this film. And obviously, like, that's not the message we want to convey these days. I was a little confused as to why it wasn't embracing, you know, that spectrum of sexuality more. Casting wise, there's also Gwilym Lee, who plays Brian May, who, you know, you put that wig on someone and they look like Gwilym Lee looked like Brian May. And I think he's actually probably the best actor in it too, of the Queen group. Ben Hardy plays Roger Taylor. Joseph Mazzello plays John Deacon, who has such a bizarre accent in it. It's a weird cast in American, but whatever. Aiden Gillen from Game of Thrones is in it. Tom Hollander, Alan Leech, and Mike Myers. Yes, that Mike Myers. And I get it. It's like a nod to Wayne's World. Very bizarre casting choice, but it also felt like he was doing like a fat bastard impression, and I was like, why are you... Okay, all right. So there are a lot of actually questionable choices, I think, throughout the movie. You know, you can actually tell it's sort of been cobbled together because there was a director shift in like reshoots at one point. Bryan Singer is the credited director, who I'm not a fan of, but they brought in Dexter Fletcher to replace Bryan Singer before the filming was complete, so it's a little weird. Like, technically speaking, Singer gets the credit, and you can tell that there was a lot of like behind the scenes like cobbling together of things. And so overall, my other biggest complaint about this film is that I don't feel like I got to see their struggle, right? Like, yes, you see some of Freddie Mercury's struggle with his sexuality, but overall the band just keeps like having hit after hit after hit, and it's like, okay, that's great for you guys, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of a roller coaster as a whole, instead of being like, oh yeah, we're all kind of waiting in the background, but like, we're amazing. Like, yes, sure, you're amazing, but nobody wants to see that. You know, you want to see like them struggling to get to. You want to be able to connect and like empathize and sympathize with that. So I will say also, like, look, again, the music parts are great. You kind of want to head bop along, but by the end, they basically recreate the Live Aid performance. And I was like, and it's like shot for shot. And I'm like, at this point, I just would rather watch actual Live Aid. And it just feels like it goes on a little bit too long. Like, the movie's, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I was like, I could probably have just gone home and watched the Live Aid thing at my own pace or whatever. Like, I didn't need to see this whole thing for this, like, sake of drama. We get that you did a good job of recreating it shot for shot, but like, you know, unnecessary. Totally unnecessary. Overall, look, unless you're like the movie's fine. It's not great. It's not hard hitting. It's not going to be like a classic through the ages. You'll see it. You might enjoy it, but that's going to be it. And you're going to forget about it, which is a shame because it is such a great, you know, Freddie Mercury is such a great figure, and Queen was and is so influential as a band. But I don't think Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, does them the credit that they deserve. So I'm only going to give it 2.5 out of 5. Another film I have this week, which I don't even know where to start with this one, is The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. First of all, it is November. It is way too freaking early for a Christmas movie. Like, I get so upset when Christmas movies come out this early. And yes, it is a Christmas movie. It's sort of a ballet movie, but it's mostly a Christmas movie. And I'm like, why are you guys releasing this early in the year? It's because you want to bury it. I get it. So watching this movie, I was like, I don't feel like I remember a single thing about the Nutcracker. All I remembered, like, from the ballet is that there is a Mouse King and a Sugar Plum Fairy at some point. And the way they strung this together, I was like, what are we doing here? Like, this is loosely involving the Nutcracker, insofar as that there are nutcrackers and a character named Nutcracker in it, and there's a ballet at one point. So it centers around a girl named Clara, played by Mackenzie Foy, and it sounds like she's lost her that doesn't sound like. She has lost her mother the year prior. Her father is played by Matthew Macfadyen. It's some sort of big Christmas party. They go to her godfather's house, who is played by Morgan Freeman, which was very uncomfortable to watch, by the way. Like, I have not forgotten about his sexual harassment stuff. And I was like, ooh, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So either way, she somehow ends up in this magical land of the Four Realms, which is populated by the people of Oz. I don't know. No, it's populated by Keira Knightley plays the Sugar Plum Fairy. Helen Mirren plays a character called Mother Ginger, who has this big mecha ginger, mecha toy thing, which I was like, oh, Mecha Mirren. This is amazing. Eugenio Derbez plays Hawthorne. And Richard E. Grant plays Shiver. And so basically, Helen Mirren, Eugenio Derbez, Richard E. Grant, and Keira Knightley are the representatives of the Four Realms. And Clara's mother was a princess in this realm. Yeah, it sounds absurd as I'm saying it because it was absurd and it is very thinly put together. So basically, the idea is that Clara has to unite the kingdom. It's whatever. It's just even trying to explain it is giving me a headache because that's how weird and bad it was. I will give a shout out to Misty Copeland because she is amazing and she has a ballet solo in it that basically explains the history of the Four Realms, which I clearly couldn't articulate, but it's an interpretive dance, I'd say. I don't know who this movie is supposed to be for. Like, I really don't know. There's some kind of, like, weird stuff in it. First of all, I personally hate clowns. Like, I cannot stand them, and they're super creepy clowns in this. And then there's also, like, a rat monster king thing. It's like a mega rat made of multiple rats. Mice, whatever. They're mice, but they still feel like rats. And I'm like, this is a little intense for a little kid. Like, I'd have nightmares about this. Also, biggest question about this film, where did the VFX budget go? Like, seriously. This is Disney. Disney made this movie. They have so much money. They literally have an in-house VFX studio. They own ILM. Where did the VFX budget, where did the budget go in this movie? Because so much of the animation is like weightless and creepy. The snow and the effects just don't feel like they're actually interacting with each other. And I'm like, where did your money go? Did you spend it on the actors? Like, the budget for this must have still been pretty big. This movie, skip this movie. Please skip this movie. Just go see the Nutcracker itself instead. This is not worth your time. This is not worth your money. This is not worth your effort. I'm going to give it 1.5 out of 5 because I don't know who this movie's for. I didn't like the VFX. The performances are weird. The girl is fine. She does the best she can, but I just was like, whatever. I don't know what Keira Knightley is doing in this movie either, by the way. She has this like weird baby voice in it that I cannot stand. And I was like, oh, maybe it's like a character thing. And it just like goes in and out. And I'm like, okay, everyone needs to stop. Everyone needs to stop this movie right now. So 1.5 out of 5. So my last film this week is called Boy Erased, and it is a tough to watch film, but it is a good film, and I think it's worth the journey. And it's based on the memoir of the same name by Garrard Conley. And the character in the movie is called Jared, and he's played by Lucas Hedges. And basically, Jared is gay, and he comes from a small Christian town, and, he gets outed as gay, and his parents, who are, his dad is very much involved in the church, and his dad is played by Russell Crowe. His mother's played by Nicole Kidman. It's very bizarre to see them as like these super Southern like Christian people. And they send him to a conversion therapy institute. And there he meets Joel Edgerton's character, who's named Victor Sykes. And Joel Edgerton actually wrote and directed the film as well. So again, lots of Aussies in this. And basically it follows, the conversion therapy and his experience there and the ramifications of dealing with his sexuality and, not being accepted for it. And it was tough to watch, and it's scary that conversion therapy is still a practice because this movie takes place, I think like mid-90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But it's something that's still very much going on today, and it's very unfortunate. And look, it's tough to watch, but I think it's worth a watch. It's not all completely dark and depressing. There are moments of light in it. Also, I'm not the biggest Nicole Kidman fan, but I thought her as like this crazy Southern lady. Like, I was like, yeah, no, all right. Like, I'm in. I think the film delicately kind of handles the tough situation that he's in, and there's a lot of things covered in it. And I don't want to give too much away because there are some things that I think the shock value and like the surprise value of them is actually like helpful during the movie. And so I just think it's worth seeing. So I'm going to give it 4 out of 5.